In an effort to get to most of our journalists on the line here, we'll do one question, no follow-up. So we'll do about 15 minutes of questions. Première question, first question.
Good morning, almost good afternoon, Prime Minister Carney.
Thank you.
My name is Claudia Van Emmerich. I'm with Global News. My question for you is that the Trump administration has increased the general tariff rate as well as doubled tariffs on steel and aluminum, yet your government has not retaliated. How do you justify to Canadians who have voted you in to be elbows up against Trump that your government has not fired back, that you have not retaliated? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. I think the first thing to recognize is, and I said this in my remarks, but I'm going to repeat for emphasis, which is that 85% of the trade between Canada and the United States is tariff-free. That's our exports to the United States, that's U.S. exports to Canada. And we recognize that. We recognize very much the United States reaffirmation of this core element of CUSMA, or what they would call USMCA. So it's important to preserve that. It's important to reinforce that. And part of our discussions is about that. We are also very cognizant that in about 9 months from now, the first review of USMCA, CUSMA as we call it, will begin between the three parties. So there's a bigger picture there. The third thing, just from context, is we have always said that we will apply tariffs where they had the maximum impact in the United States and a minimum impact in Canada. And so we don't automatically adjust. We look at what we can do for our industry that's most effective. In some cases, that will be to remove tariffs. We have removed some tariffs over time so that, for example, the auto industry can function more effectively. And we'll look at opportunities to do so, because in the end, we're looking at having the best impact in Canada. The last point, if I may, which is what today is very much about, is we're focused on a positive agenda of building forward for our major industries, those most affected, the softwood lumber industry, clearly, steel, aluminum, other industries as well. And that agenda starts at home, being our own best customer. It goes to big investments in improving our competitiveness, upskilling, helping our workers improve their skills, and it's also diversifying trade, and that's where we're focused. Thank you.
Merci. Prochaine question. On va prendre la prochaine question. Merci.
Prochaine question aussi.
En français, si vous pouviez répéter la réponse en français.
C'est votre question ou c'est seulement une...
Je vais la poser en français.
Mathis
Hervé, Radio-Canada. Plusieurs premiers ministres vous ont demandé de hausser le ton, de faire preuve de plus de fermeté pour répondre à l'administration Trump. Pourquoi ne pas déjà avoir annoncé de contre-tarifs pour répondre à cela?
Merci pour votre question. Alors, nous sommes dans la situation actuelle est que le Canada est dans la meilleure position à ce moment-ci en ce qui concerne les tarifs américains. C'est-à-dire que 85% des exportations canadiennes aux États-Unis n'ont aucun tarif américain. C'est la même pour les Américains par rapport au Canada. Alors, nous sommes dans une position d'égalité à ce moment-ci. Deuxièmement, nous sommes en train d'une négociation avec les Américains qui concerne surtout les secteurs stratégiques, le bois d'œuvre, l'acier, l'aluminium, les automobiles, la cuivre, puis les pharmaceutiques et les semi-conducteurs. Alors ça, c'est la situation actuelle. Et nous mettons l'accent dans une manière positive de bâtir nos industries stratégiques, y compris, évidemment, le secteur de bois d'œuvre.
Prochaine question, CP, Canadian Press.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. Thank you for taking my question. Wolf Deppner, Canadian Press. The Prime Minister, I'm still used to my old gig. Prime Minister, a number of premiers just put out a letter calling on your government to make the softwood lumber agreement a high priority. You probably saw that letter. This government here in British Columbia has asked repeatedly to treat the softwood lumber industry the way the Ontario auto industry is to be treated. What assurances can you give British Columbians and their government that your government won't sacrifice the softwood lumber industry on behalf of some sort of trade deal that would protect the auto industry in Woodbridge, Ontario?
Thank you. Well, first off, thank you for the question. I did see the letter. I read the letter. I've read it several times. I've had direct discussions with the premiers on that issue, including a long discussion with Premier Eby on the weekend, Sunday on the weekend. And just to underscore that discussion, it's Sunday on a long weekend. Even premiers deserve a holiday. He was on his holiday and he came in to have that discussion, underscoring the importance of this industry and the importance of doing everything we can to resolve the situation. We have consistently raised the issue with our American counterparts. It's one of the elements that adds to the complexities of the negotiations we're having with them, because those who follow the trade actions over the years, and they have been over the years, decades in softwood lumber, they are distinct but related to what the U.S. has been doing recently. These are trade actions under countervailing duties, anti-dumping. They're trade actions that Canada has challenged in court, various dispute panels, others. We win those challenges in general, and we will continue those challenges because we are not dumping softwood lumber. I would add, just for context, is that the President of the United States has signaled that there will be a 232, a strategic trade action, possibly with respect to softwood lumber as well. That brings it more into those broader discussions. So to be clear, we're not sacrificing any industry. We're working for the best deals for all our industries. And part, to bring it back to today, of getting the best deal, not just in the trade discussions with the United States, but for what really matters. The people behind me and who they represent, the workers in the industry, the businesses, the ones we can't see, the Indigenous communities that are active in the industry, all Canadians. Part of getting the best deal for them is to build the industry, is to innovate, to develop new markets, and be our own best customer. And that's what those aren't just words, we're putting behind those words $1.25 billion today of support in very specific ways to translate that into action. Thank you.
Next question, CBC.
Hi, Prime Minister Carney. Brady Strachan, CBC Kelowna. Have you spoken to Donald Trump in recent days, and will you retaliate with more counter tariffs, including on American steel, or countermeasures, or lift countermeasures already in place?
Thank you for the question. I haven't spoken to the President in recent days. We'll speak when it makes sense. With respect to steel specifically, we announced a comprehensive approach on steel 2 weeks ago, which included significant support for repositioning, significant support for Buy Canadian, and with respect to, if I can draw some distinctions, with respect to softwood lumber, obviously the core of the demand domestically, not all of it, but the core of the demand, or much of the increase in demand, can be through our new approach to home building in this country. With steel, the defense procurement comes into play. The broader infrastructure investments is part of our building national projects of national significance and the requirements we'll have around those. So we had those elements there, plus some industry repositioning. So we feel, look, it's a challenging position. We have put in place a series of measures, and I would add one other thing, which I think is it's relevant. I know it's relevant for Canada, but I would submit that it's very relevant for the United States. We've also put in place the toughest measures against foreign steel that could be dumped into Canada or transshipped through Canada to other markets. So again, I just wrap that into the broader discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please. We'll go to Kelowna Courier. Thank you.
En français, si nous avons, en ce qui concerne le secteur de l'acier, on a mis en œuvre plusieurs enjeux pendant il y a 2 semaines, y compris des subventions de soutien pour les investissements ici au Canada, les changements d'approvisionnement pour le gouvernement du Canada, surtout pour des grands projets à l'échelle nationale. Et nous avons mis en œuvre des protections tarifaires par rapport à d'autres pays qui sont en train de faire le dumping ici au Canada pour d'autres marchés.
Next question,
Okay.
Kelowna Courier.
Barb Aguirre, Kelowna Courier. Do you feel the U.S. under the Trump administration would honor any trade agreement that Canada could negotiate, seeing that they're a perceived unreliable trade partner?
I think this, when you're in a negotiation like this, and it's a very fluid one, you're looking for real win-win opportunities that make an agreement reinforcing. That's the first point. So looking at those areas where the U.S., the president personally puts a very high emphasis on. So the president cares deeply about cross-border flow of fentanyl, ending the scourge of fentanyl. So do we. We are in the process of cracking down on fentanyl. We got 1,000 more RCMP personnel coming on board. We have 1,000 more border agents. We've got better surveillance technology. We're cracking down on transnational gangs. We're doing all those things first and foremost for Canada, but actually it helps solve the issues with the United States, issues which, to be absolutely transparent, Canada is a rounding error for relative to other sources of fentanyl into that country. But that's an example where we will continue to do things in a win-win way. In the sector, in the steel sector, in the auto sector, we firmly believe, and the auto companies would absolutely reinforce this, is we are essential to the competitiveness of the American auto sector. How do we reinforce that? That's part of what we're talking about. Last point, and there's many others to make, but, and I referenced this in my remark, you see these countries making commitments for investments in the United States. Canada is the second largest investor in the United States today, in the world. We have 40 million people. We are the second largest investor in the United States in the world. And that puts in context the state of the relationship, the future potential with an agreement, and some, I'm not saying all of that, but without an agreement, there will be less, by definition.
Thank you. Next
Thank you.
question, Kelowna Now.
Good morning, Steve McNall from Kelowna Now. It was referenced here earlier today, the Peachland wildfire.
Yeah.
And it brought crystal clear again to local media how we disseminate information quickly and effectively. Bill C-18 stands in our way to get back onto Facebook and Instagram. Are the Liberals looking for an alternative or rescinding that so that we can get that news back on those important platforms?
I'll say this, Steve. Thank you for the question. First thing, and one of the things that we have done, and I'll answer your specific question, but let me make a point on something we have done, which is, and you may not like this part of the answer, but I'm going to give it to you, which is that one of the roles of CBC Radio Canada is to provide unbiased, immediate, local information, particularly in terms of in situations such as you're referring to. And that's one of the reasons why we've made the commitment to invest and reinforce and actually change the governance of CBC Radio Can to ensure that they are providing those essential services. Now, to your specific question, I personally, and this government is a big believer in the value of what you do. I'm going to use you as a representation on local news, and the importance of ensuring that that is disseminated as widely and as quickly as possible. So we will look for all avenues to do that, and I understand your question, and it's part of our thinking around that. Thank you.